Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to another snippet from, you know, Ringside right now. Of course, I'm with the crew. We got Jonathan, we got Calvin, we got Clint, we got Curtis, and this is your man Pierre. So we've already talked about what happened with wrestling last week, especially with WWE and AEW. But sticking with WWE, what do y'all think about Triple H being solidly in control of creative based on the email that Bleacher Report said that Vince sent out to all of WWE saying that Triple H is solidly over creative. Granted, the first Raw after WrestleMania did not reflect Triple H being in charge at all over creative, but of course the shows have kind of even back out. So what do you guys think about Triple H firmly being in control, especially how he's been booking some of the champions for WWE?
Curtis, you want to touch on that first because you
Yeah,
mentioned, the
yeah,
longer
I did
title
mention
reigns.
that because if I feel like we've gotten into a new age of as far as title reigns, because if you date back to the Attitude Era, if you had a title reign for about 6 months, that's pretty much the equivalent of probably 2 years back then. But now you got three champions in WWE who's at least 300 days in: Gunther, Bianca Belair, and of course Roman Reigns. And I feel like it's kind of old school. It's kind of going back to the old school days where you're not gonna if you're over, you're gonna have a title for a good while. You're not. It's not gonna be a hot potatoing kind of thing. And you know
Well,
what? I personally like it.
well, that's because of who Triple H learned the book from. He learned from Dusty. That's that old school NWA style booking. It worked then. That's the greatest era of wrestling. So why wouldn't you go back to that? That's the best teacher you can have as a booker. Um, so I think it's smart. As far as Triple H being charged overall versus Vince running creative, I think that initially Vince wanted to go out and show what he could do because they had just sold the company, Endeavor had just taken over, and I think after that first Raw, after they saw the audience's response to the show, I think Endeavor may have actually made that call to have Triple H take charge again. They may say, "Hey, this has been working for the past 7 or 8 months. Why are we changing it?" Which if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So maybe Endeavor made that call. They're in charge now, but I think it's definitely a good thing. It was a smart thing to do. Put Triple H back in it.
It's actually kind of weird that they would send a whole email and like a memo around that Triple H is in charge. Because, wrestling, especially Vince's wrestling, it's like, don't send me a note saying I'm the guy in charge, like be in charge. Hulk Hogan, I'm sure there wasn't an email saying you can book yourself to be immune to, anything in the world sort of kryptonite. But that's what he did when he was in WCW. So, I'm really hoping this is true. I'm hoping it's something where the fans, the backstage people, the shareholders in some regards, all are looking and saying, yeah, Triple H, he needs to be the next guy up and he needs to be the one in charge.
Well, I think that's why they sent that email to kind of give everyone hope and confidence and let them know, hey, we're solidifying it. Triple H is in charge. So, that kind of squashes any rumors or any questions about who's in charge. That's why
And,
they felt they sent an email.
and put people at ease, because you don't want your bookers or anybody for that matter coming to work feeling like they're basically walking on they're basically walking on eggshells.
Yeah, that too.
Man,
You know,
I think you hit a very good point. With Endeavor in charge, before the merger, whatever Vince says goes, and there was nobody to check Vince.
yeah.
Now Endeavor checks Vince, and Endeavor knows that. I think they saw the reaction of the people to how that Raw was booked, and I'm not saying they directly, you know, they're directly responded to those people, but I think they wanted to let it be known. Yeah, Vince, you're the president, but you stay in your president's role over here.
And
We got Paul,
it's going to be interesting
Triple
to
H,
see. Yeah,
creative.
It's
So
going to be interesting
let
to see
him
how Vince
be creative.
responds to that because Vince isn't used to being told what to do. It's my company, it's my show, and I'm going to run it my way, and no one can say anything about it. Even when the company went public and he got shareholders, he still had, majority control of the company. Now he's actually got a boss to work for.
But now he doesn't have that, and plus $9 billion can make you change your tune
Yeah,
about a lot of things.
exactly.
Yes.
Especially that mustache.
Oh my. Ugh.
Right.
I got booed,
So
so I didn't hear what everybody said, but I pretty much agree as far as Triple H is in charge. Definitely, it's good for business.
Yeah.
Because he
well,
learned at the foot of Dusty, and he has a great respect for the business, and Triple H knows what people want to see and knows how to put storylines and things like that.
definitely.
Triple H is more in touch with today's crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Right.
when he started, NXT, he came up with a list of all these indie guys that he wanted to sign. I want Adam Cole, I want Keith Lee, I want this guy, I want guys that you wouldn't see Vince going after, but Triple H wanted them and got them for the most part. So he's more in tune with present day wrestling and not what worked in 1982.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Vince took over for his dad, Vince Senior, because Vince had a vision of what the future of wrestling could be, and was more in tune to maybe what the crowd was going to start evolving to. So, of course, as with all things, evolution changes. So Vince, and most of the time when you deal with older people,
Evolution
they
is a
tend to stay
mystery.
stuck in their own time. I mean, I know we're kind of just about there ourselves, but we tend to not want to change as quickly as maybe those younger than us. So.
Yeah.
And Vince is also the one that coined the phrase sports entertainment when he was in his truck. Wasn't that in the steroids?
Exactly.
Oh yes.
He killed kayfabe pretty much.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
that was for a reason. That was, like you said, the whole steroid thing and drug testing.
He was faking because didn't they not have to be licensed because it wasn't a sport, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something like that to
he didn't
prevent.
have to deal with the athletic commissions anymore.
So, but that's the
Right.
value that Vince kind of brings or brought was he established the basis and kind of turned this into from being like a regional thing in, high school gymnasiums to this global behemoth with a great production and all the legal kind of things needed in the background. But now that they have that, I think Triple H is primed to just take it and run with it because he can do the booking, he knows the crew and keep the team happy and the roster happy. I think the shareholders and everyone can just see that now. Okay, look, Vince, great job. It's time to put your face on the then now part of it. And then the forever can be like
Yeah.
a quick little shot of Triple H.
Speaking of
Right.
faces, Vince have some plastic surgery.
Oh yeah,
Same.
absolutely.
My mom is like, that's
just leave J. Jonah Jameson alone. That's all I say. Leave J. Jameson alone.
that's Vince McMahon. And I was like, yeah, Mom, that's Vince McMahon. She's like, no, it's not. I was like, it is, Mom. I swear. Yeah.
I thought it was Vince McMahon in disguise. Like, I'm not Vince McMahon. I'm Mr. America. Like, avoiding
Yeah.
like some
This is
shareholder
evil
lawsuit or
twin.
something.
Midnight Rider. Oh,
Yeah.
who was Black Scorpion? Ric Flair.
Oh no.
I think so. Yeah, he was Ric Flair. Yeah, Ric Flair was.
It
Black
was
Scorpion.
Ric Flair. I don't think we need to go back to that again.
They open their mouth.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Oh my.
Speaking of territories being killed, Memphis was the last territory, honestly, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I think they used the WWE.
I mean, we could have a topic on Memphis wrestling that could be 3-4 hours. Really, tell the truth.
And Paul Heyman once said that ECW was the last territory. No, they were the first indie. They were the first independent. Memphis was the last territory. Because the difference between Memphis and ECW are night and day. ECW is what the indies are today, Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate. Memphis was old school, and that era died when Memphis closed down.
I didn't know until today that PCO had wrestled in ECW.
You know what?
Yeah, different characters.
He was.
I mean,
he was Pierre Carl Ouellet, then the guy that was in the Quebecers, but now he's like the Frankenstein monster. You know, he's 55 years old. That's amazing.
I mean, that's some, career reinvention right there. It's like
He's
Jericho level.
yeah, 36 years he's been
Yeah,
running. Looking forward to seeing
that's
him.
amazing.
Meet him.
And speaking of evolution and changes, with AEW signing Jay White, now he's all elite. He's basically bringing the Bullet Club to AEW, and with Juice Robinson teaming up with him, now becoming Bullet Club Gold.
Love light.
Are we seeing an expansion of Bullet Club that's a little bit beyond what the NWO did in WCW, or is it even warranted at this point?
I'm sure Virgil's not doing anything right now that could use him.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's right to compare it necessarily to the NWO. If we're looking at the Bullet Club, and I mean everyone who's been in Bullet Club, let's compare it to the Clique. The NWO didn't run wrestling; they ran WCW, and DX ran WWF, WWE, WWF back then. But when you put those two groups together, the Clique ran wrestling. Hall and Nash ran one side, Triple H and HBK ran the other side. The Clique ran wrestling, and even today, Triple H is running WWE. If you look at all the Bullet Club members, they're running wrestling. So it's more of a Clique thing than NWO because, excuse me, like we said, even in WWE, you don't have a Bullet Club there, but you've got Bullet Club guys. You've got Finn, and you've got AJ and the Good Brothers. And meanwhile, everywhere else, they're still using the Bullet Club name, but it's.
But are they running wrestling? Is Clark Connors and David Finlay running wrestling? I disagree.
Well, not running wrestling as in, the way the Clique did, but they are among the top acts in wrestling today. And here's the thing. Sometimes you have to give people a chance. So we talked about David Finlay being in charge of the Bullet Club, and everyone's like, "Oh, David Finlay, wow."
He's actually growing on.
He's growing, but here's the thing: when Kenny Omega took over the Bullet Club, and a lot of people don't remember this, it was the same reaction. Kenny Omega, the cleaner, he's in charge of Bullet Club. And now you can't imagine it. It's like he's one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world today.
Remember when he used to,
but when
with
when he first took over Bullet Club, is that you mean the guy who wrestled the 9-year-old girl? He's in charge of Bullet Club. Oh, the Bullet Club's dead. It's gonna suck now.
His music.
And then when he left and Jay White took over, Jay White, he's okay, but he's no Kenny Omega. This is the end of the Bullet Club. Now we're all big Jay White fans. We're excited he's in AEW, and it's repeating the same thing with David Finlay. The bookers in New Japan, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So David Finlay's going to grow on us. The Bullet Club's going to expand. We're going Clark Connors, but Clark Connors is actually a good wrestler. He's not one of the biggest names in New Japan, but he's a good wrestler. I've seen a wrestler in person.
I got a question. What happened to Chase Owens and Fale? Are they gone?
Chase Owens, that's like the Virgil of the group. I have no idea.
Oh,
It's correctly that does it like this or something. You know how he does it. It's like you do the hand sign, buddy. He was trying.
They can't all be winners.
Well, what I think is going to happen is they're going to have a blood and guts match or something at Forbidden Door. So they're going to have some kind of a crossover. I'm betting.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to watch. And then,
or something.
And then here's what's cool about this. So you got the Bullet Club Gold in AEW, and you got Bullet Club in New Japan. There's also, like I mentioned earlier, a Bullet Club in Impact, and I think they're going to make them choose sides. Because you got Ace Austin and Chris Bay, and they're
going to tag team. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, they're going to have to pick a side.
You got Tama Tonga and his brother that got kicked out, right? And Hikuleo. So you got.
You know what? That would be awesome for them to join Bullet Club Gold.
I think Hikuleo. I think he's got.
Because you can't really have a Bullet Club without God.
I agree with you, man.
Really when they got kicked out, we're like, why are you doing
Tama was an original member, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's like, I think, like the third or fourth member.
He got a belt because if anybody, he's been world in New Japan, and if anybody, he's a great wrestler. He's got good personality and good charisma. I'm glad he got.
So nothing but good things are coming. I don't know where it's going to be, but good things are coming.
What do you think, Calvin?
I think I love a long-term kind of storyline. I love the concept of Bullet Club being this massive kind of overreaching thing that's crossed multiple companies. And so, yeah, Bullet Club didn't have like the same amount of power, political power behind the scenes as NWO has, but I think it has the ability to kind of keep itself fresh by being that new, like that, by starting something like that. Like that would be the next incarnation, the second birth of what the NWO was. How do you top that? You start bringing it together across different companies. You invade WWE and kind of have some wink and nod things going on there. You break through the forbidden door, basically.
And it's kind of like you're changing the game all over again, kind of like the NWO did. Now, of course, the NWO, they were probably the first people that made it to make it cool to cheer for the bad guy. You had people, it's like so when we talked earlier about the blurring of the lines, they done that. So now we're doing, it's like it's not quite the same thing, but again, like Kevin said, it's through multiple promotions, and now it's going to be really interesting how they continue to keep it up with the Bullet Club Gold thing.
Yeah. I say it like this. If the NWO were the Four Horsemen, Bullet Club is Evolution. Four Horsemen, they were an incredible group, best wrestlers who ever stepped foot in the ring, forever legendary, forever in our hearts. But once the Horsemen ended, that was the end of the Horsemen. With Evolution, they actually built the future of WWE. The guys who were the rookies in Evolution, Batista's getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame. Randy Orton, I mean, he's injured right now, but he's, when he comes back, he's one of the top stars of the company. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. They built the future of WWE with that faction. So one is about just being great and groundbreaking, and the other is about building the future. And that's what the NWO compared to Bullet Club is. The NWO was groundbreaking. It was awesome. It was like the largest, biggest selling angle in wrestling history other than Austin versus Vince, but Bullet Club is going to lead the future.
And you've got Adam, you were talking about Adam Cole later. Like, what do you want to do with Adam Cole and the Bucks?
Exactly.
Omega, they're all Bullet Club guys, so you could tie them in somehow if you want to.
I think that's ultimately what's going to end up happening, a type of a power struggle between current leaders and former leaders of Bullet Club, especially with Forbidden Door coming up. You never know; those possibilities could actually, bring that more to light than what we're speculating on right now.
I said, if you had a blood and guts Civil War Bullet Club match, I would watch the hell out of that.
Sign me up for that.
Can't go.
Like it has the ability to be like what NWO was, like really bringing people who weren't watching wrestling before, super casual fans, like making them watch and go, dude, what's going on right now is crazy.
Yeah.
You're going to have some Marvel Cinematic Universe level of control over how it plays off across different companies to make it actually work right. But it's something that could really change the wrestling game if they do that correctly.
And if they don't bring Virgil.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of guys like that. Hey, you want to wear an NWO shirt, Ed Leslie?
Beef, yeah.
Man, or whatever, Zodiac, whatever.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll avoid all that.
Plus, in AEW, they can take some guys who not doing anything with and put them in NW. I mean,
the guns.
Put them in the Bullet Club.
I can see the guns in the Bullet Club. They got that kind of swagger and smarmy.
And you know what? They could benefit from that rub.
Yeah. They definitely could fit. So there's a lot of directions of the growth of the Bullet actually go in, especially them now touching Impact as well. So you definitely have a lot of avenues to go in. And speaking of possible warring factions,
I don't know about you guys. Cool pay-per-view. Forbidden Door.
And looking at you got cut off there. What do you say?
Oh, I said I'm excited about Forbidden Door. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Definitely. Especially some of the matchups that can come through after a couple of events before Forbidden Door.
Still got a couple.
possible rematch, with Kenny, and,
Possibly.
things like that. So definitely could be very intriguing. Um,
Although they seem
but
to be
going
Lance Archer said something about wanting to fight him, so I don't know if that's going to be what's going to
So
happen.
yeah,
well, he's in that group that's fighting to see who could be the number one contender for the IWGP US title. So,
Go ahead, Pierre. Sorry.
but yeah, there'll definitely be interesting to see. Now, speaking of warring groups, we have the Blackpool Combat Club basically warring with the Elite. I think this has the makings of something interesting that kind of what Calvin was talking about could bring a little bit more extra eyes to AEW, especially with a lot of people knowing about the background of what's going on with the Elite, and especially with rumors that CM Punk may be coming back to AEW. What do you think about the storyline as far as basically the Blackpool Combat Club basically becoming the heels in this situation, and now you're elevating the Elite? Is this a possible way to make their image look better than the image looked before because of the fallout with the CM Punk thing, or do you think it's just a very good storyline? Period.
I mean, if they're willing to work with Punk, and Punk's willing to work with them, it's going to make everyone look good. If everyone can put aside their petty, childish differences or whatnot, and say, "Hey, look, we're just going to go out there and make some money." It's going to make everyone look good. I would personally love to find out. Sorry, I would personally love to find out that it wasn't the Blackpool Combat Club that attacked the Bucks, but Punk maybe attacked them. That being revealed, and find out that Punk's with the BCC, or I don't know, they can find some way to fit it in there, But Punk coming back would be best for business, and I would love to see them all get along and make some money.
As far as Punk coming back, I wouldn't hold my breath. As much as I would like from the comeback and probably kind of make better of the situation and kind of make up for how he kind of went out. But with the way he kind of went out, I would not hold my breath for that.
I've been reading stuff. I think he's coming back. I'm pretty sure he's coming back. And I read something that said Omega's not happy about it. So yeah, definitely, I could see them playing something as an angle, and you might as well make some money off of things.
It's just so messy. Like, okay, if someone left the WWE in this fashion and had a bunch of like behind the scenes stuff, they could make that work and play it because that's really the only chaos going on. I feel like AEW has so much kind of behind the scenes nonsense and kind of fast and loose play with their wrestling style and everything. It's just too much, and somebody's got to show some power and be the big boy in the room and take charge.
And see, that's one thing Vince did do well. I can give Vince McMahon credit for that. He wasn't going to let backstage stuff mess with business.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You
I
know,
don't care if you're Hulk Hogan. Like, if you're messing with stuff, you're out the door.
exactly.
So, like, CM Punk will sell tickets, but so many people have said he's a toxic personality behind the scenes. I don't know what's the truth or not, but for him to be as good as he is and able to sell as many tickets as he can, for him to not actually have spent, the entirety of this time in the ring, like for him to have, had to have disappeared for so long before he came back anywhere, that shows a problem to me. So I would say no to CM Punk coming back. I'm gonna watch if he does come back either way, but I just guess you really say no to that.
I bet he's on that Wembley show. I don't know why else they would have booked it.
Yeah, but let's remember, he's no spring chicken. I mean, he's not I mean, we're not gonna see the 2000. I think it was 2014. Whichever. I think it was 2013. CM Punk. He had the 400+ day title reign. We can't expect that.
No, because he's been out the ring too long. He's older. I mean, we saw his past 2 matches in AEW. He wasn't that same CM Punk.
He actually got injured. He got when all that stuff happened.
Yeah,
He did, but he definitely looked like an old wrestler as opposed to just a very good wrestler. He just looked like an old wrestler those last few matches, and nobody wants to see Punk go out like that, especially with the affinity a lot of fans have for him. But at the same time, like Calvin mentioned, the toxicity backstage, especially with guys who started the company of all
Yeah.
people to be toxic with. I mean, is it worth bringing him back just for those sales? No, maybe for Wembley, I can understand if you're nervous about filling up those stands. Yeah, bringing Punk back would definitely help boost those ticket sales. Now, granted, they don't happen until May 5th, so there's no telling the next couple of weeks how things AEW might play things out as far as starting building things toward the all-in show in Wembley. And maybe if they see the ticket sales are slumping come June, they may say, okay, let's figure out the way to bring Punk back in to boost these sales.
You know what? It's talking about toxicity and his character and whatnot. Clinton and I actually met him at a Starcast in Chicago.
I mean, but he seemed like a nice guy.
He seemed very nice. I was surprised. I expected him to be very arrogant and whatnot.
Yeah.
I actually complimented his MMA career, and he was touched by it. He was humbled. He said, it took a lot of balls.
Well, maybe it's not the fans. He's not going to show the toxicity with the fans because maybe he doesn't have that toxic energy for the fans. It's just other wrestlers, especially those that are deemed very good wrestlers, where in his eyes, he don't see them as very good wrestlers. A la Adam Page, Hangman. So
Omega's a better wrestler than he is. Sorry.
But here's my thing. So why is it
star? But
why does he have beef with Adam Page or the Bucks, but FTR can do nothing but sing his praises? Why certain people?
Well,
I think it's a power structure thing.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna, bump up against the people in charge because he thinks I should be a bigger draw. I should be making more money because I'm better than them. And
but wasn't he
that way?
Was it? I mean, look at what was it called, The Last Dance or whatever?
Wasn't.
I mean, he built an entire show around his return and put him in big high profile matches out the gate, and he was paying them well. So what's there to complain about?
I think Tony Khan has underutilized Hangman Page. I mean, built him up to win the world title, and now he's just kind of like a floating island that goes from Dark Order to this, that. I mean, he's a star.
Yeah, and he didn't hold the title for long. Yeah.
No, I mean, but I see it just basically with the storyline they're going with the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm definitely seeing Hangman kind of floating toward the elite, since everybody pretty much knows he's running with the elite anyway backstage. I think they're going to float him over to that, and therefore, if Punk does come back and maybe sides more with the Blackpool Combat Club, who knows? Maybe FTR might be thrown in there too, and now you have bigger factions going against each other. You
got blood and guts.
Maybe that's blood and guts. Yeah, the elite versus
there you go.
Take my money. Yes.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. How a lot of backstage drama could actually affect more so the storyline than it normally does. So that's been our thoughts about some of the pressing topics going on with wrestling as a whole. But what are your opinions? What do you guys think? Or are there certain topics you want to hear our opinions on? So be sure to like and subscribe, as always, to this podcast and to our YouTube page. And as well as, hit the notification buttons to see when we upload new content. And so once again, for the fellas, Clint, Curtis, Calvin, and Jonathan, I'm Pierre. And once again, this has been Wrestling Ringside right now.
Good job, fellas.